Hello everyone and welcome to another video brought to you by RouTube. In today's video we're going to cover finding the circumference in the area of a circle, which students will begin to learn in Year 8 Maths. So the learning objectives for today, the first one is to investigate the relationship between the radius and the diameter of a circle. And the second learning objective is to calculate the circumference of a circle. And the third objective is to finally calculate the area of a circle. Okay, so it's really important to understand the difference and the relationship between the radius and the diameter of a circle. So as we can see on the left side, the radius is from the center point of a circle to the outside. Okay, so it's from the center to the outside. Now it can go to any part of the outside as long as it begins from the middle and makes its way to the outside. Okay, so there's just one example of a radius. And on the right side we have the diameter. Okay, so the diameter is from one side of the circle making its way through the center of the circle all the way to the other end of the circle. Okay, so we've got the diameter and the radius. So the radius from the middle point to the outside, and then the diameter from one side to the other. Now the important thing to note is that the diameter is always double the value of the radius, which therefore means that the radius is always half of the value of the diameter. So the diameter is double the radius, and the radius is half of the diameter. Okay, so the word circumference, you probably wouldn't have encountered this in Year 7, but if you did, that's great. But in Year 8, you'll most likely be introduced to the word circumference. So circumference is another term given to the perimeter of a circle. Okay, so you won't hear too many people say, can you find the perimeter of a circle? Okay, it's always the circumference. So you need to know, if you're asked to find the circumference, what it's asking you for, or what it's asking you to do, is to work out the outside or the perimeter of a circle. So we use the word circumference. And the formulas, we have two of those. The first one is C equals pi times D, with D being the diameter, and the second formula being C equals 2 times pi times R, where R is the radius. Okay, so depending on what you're given in the question, whether you're given the radius or the diameter. If you're given the diameter, you can use the first formula, when if you're given the radius, you use the second formula. All right, let's have a go at a couple of examples at finding the circumference. So we've got find the circumference of the circles below, correct at 2 decimal places. So once we get to the end, let's round to 2 decimal places. So we have a look at the circle on the left. Now it's really important that you identify first of all that we are given, or you are given, the radius. Okay, so it's from the center point where the bullseye would be all the way to the outside. Okay, so 4 centimeters is the radius of this circle. Okay, so what we can do is we can just write radius equals 4 centimeters. Now, we've got two formulas that we can use. If we're given the radius, the formula we use, and I'll just write it in red, is going to be C for circumference. So the circumference equals 2 pi R. Okay, and what that means is 2 times pi times the radius. Now what we can do is let's substitute the value of the radius into that formula. So we've got C is equal to 2 times pi multiplied by the radius, which in this question is 4. Okay, and then you will need a scientific calculator with you. So once you do that, you should receive an answer that is 25.132 and so on. And now we need to round to 2 decimal places. So we go to the second digit, which is a 3. After the decimal point, the second digit is a 3, and then the digit after that, which is 2, that tells me what to do with the digit 3 that I've underlined. So because it's below 5, the 3 digit stays as it is. So the final answer should be 25.13. And please, as always, especially when you're doing measurement, don't forget your unit of measurement. Now it's going to be centimeters. Now it's not going to be centimeters squared because we're not calculating the area. When we're talking about perimeter, and in this case circumference of a circle, we always leave it as the unit of measurement without the squared. Now the next one on the right. Now we've got, hopefully you've identified that we have been given the diameter, which is from one end of the circle all the way to the other end. So here we're just going to write here D equals, so the diameter is equal to 18 centimeters. And now, like we did before, or like we were given before, we're going to write down the formula that has the d. So here the formula is c equals pi d, which is pi times your diameter. So in this case, we're going to have c equals pi multiplied by the diameter of in the question. So we're substituting the value substituting the value from the question into the formula. And then once we do that, we're then going to get an answer that looks like 56, not 54. Let's just erase that. It should be 56, not 54. 56.548 and so on. Once again, rounding to 2 decimal places. So we go to the second digit and then we see, well, the digit after is an 8. So that means that the digit we underlined, the 4, is going to increase or go up by 1. So that means the final answer should be 56.55. And now, once again, don't forget your unit of measurement, which is centimeters. And now working out the area of a circle, just like the circumference and just like a lot of the other shapes that you'll be dealing with during the topic of measurement, there is a specific formula to calculate the area of a circle. So the area of a circle is the inside, as we should hopefully already know. So you need the radius and we need pi, and we need to be able to use the square or to the power of 2 function on the calculator. So the formula is A for area equals pi r squared, or pi r to the power of 2. So that's the formula that we need to apply to work out the area of any circle. And if we're given the diameter of a circle, we should know, hopefully by now, that we can just halve the diameter to give us the radius, and then we have the radius value to then calculate the area of a circle. All right, I'm finishing the lesson off. Let's have a go at finding the area of a circle. So find the area of the following circles correct to 2 decimal places. So we're going to round again when we get to the end, just like we did with the circumference. So once again, we've got the same shapes and measurements from before, but this time we're going to apply a different formula because we are looking for the area as opposed to the circumference. So we have a look at the first circle, the radius. Again, we are given the radius and we need to be able to identify that. So we are given the radius, which we're going to write down. So the radius is equal to 4 centimeters, same as we did before. This time we're going to write down our new formula, which is not going to be C, that's the previous one. Let's start that again. It's then going to be A equals pi r squared, or pi r times itself, or pi r times r. Now what we're going to do, let's substitute the value of the radius into that formula. So it's going to be A equals pi times 4 squared, because that was the radius in the question. And then again, you're going to need your scientific calculator with you. And hopefully once you do that, we get an answer that looks like this, 50.265 and so on. And round it to 2 decimal places. Once again, we go to the second digit, which is 6. And then the digit after that tells us what to do with the 6. Because it's 5 and above, that 6 moves up to a 7. So it becomes 50.27, and don't forget our centimeters. But this time, because we're calculating the area, it's always going to be squared, which means to the power of 2. So 50.27 centimeters squared is rounded to 2 decimal places. Now looking at the next one, we're now, as we know from our previous question, we've been given the diameter. But there's no formula when we're calculating the area of a circle that has the diameter in it. So what we need to do is, let's write down that the diameter equals 18 centimeters. We actually need to find the radius. Okay, so the radius, as we said before, the relationship is that the radius is half. So we're going to divide that by 2. The radius is half of the diameter. So we've now got our radius, which is 9 centimeters. And now we can go and do what we did in the previous question. So we're now going to again start with always writing the formula, area equals pi r squared. And now we can go ahead and substitute once we have the radius that we worked out in green. So we've now got pi multiplied by 9 squared. Once again, get your calculator out. Area is equal to pi times 9 to the power of 2, which will then give us an answer that looks like 254.469 and so on, and round it to 2 decimal places. Again, the second digit after the decimal point is the 6, and the digit after that one tells us what to do with the 6, and because the digit 9 is 5 or above, that 6 goes up to become a 7. So we've then got 254.47, and then include your units of measurement, and because we're calculating the area, it's going to be centimeters squared. Thanks so much for tuning in and watching another video brought to you by RouTube. Hopefully, if you didn't already know too much about circumference and area of circles, you learned a thing or two. Please be on the lookout, as I'm going to keep uploading some measurement videos in the not too distant future. So please keep an eye out, and as always, please subscribe to my channel if you enjoyed the video. Thank you, and see you next video.